Hi, my name is Jordan Wright with Jordan's Backyard Chickens, where I really enjoy helping you raise happy, healthy chickens. And have you ever came out to your chicken coop to collect eggs and you've noticed that one of your chickens is really staying in that nest box? And that's okay. Maybe she's still laying eggs. But as you get closer to that nest box, she starts making clucking noises and grunting noises. And then you reach into the nest box to grab the eggs, and bam, she pecks you. You may have a broody hen. And what does a broody hen mean? So, definition of a broody hen is a hen that is in the midst of trying to hatch out eggs, whether they be her eggs or eggs that she's collected, like my chicken down here has actually been sitting on her eggs and the eggs of our other chickens that we have here in the coop. Or it might even be a situation like when I used to breed my white crested black Polish, where I had a whole building with the Koshens that were broody hatching out the eggs from the Polish. And I'd put them in there. They would set on them and then they would hatch them out. After they were hatched out, then I collected the chicks and made certain that they were safe and sound in a brooder box and then brought them back out to them after they had a little bit of age. That way, we didn't have to worry about a predator getting into them. So, one of the big questions that I always hear is whether or not all chickens will grow broody. And I imagine that there are a chance that any chicken is going to go broody because not every single chicken in the breed is exactly the same. But there are some breeds out there that are going to be broody and better mothers more often than other ones. So, for instance, my Cochin down here and the ones that I have in my flock, those are going to be a better choice of a breed if you're looking for broody chickens. Orpingtons and Brahmas would as well. Whereas a Leghorn, for example, they're going to lay eggs and then kind of forget about them. A Leghorn is not going to be a very good mother for the majority of the breed. But again, you could always have outliers that are really good mothers. So if you have any questions during the stream here or while you're watching it after the stream ends, comment them down below and I'll be certain to reach out to you and either put them on a future stream or answer them here in the comments. And if you have a good video topic, please drop that in the comments as well, or you can email me at jordansbackyardchickens@gmail.com and I'll be sure to take a look at that. So, going along the same lines of certain breeds are better mothers than others, are chickens the only breed that are going to go broody? And the answer is no. You are, or the only species that's going to go broody. And the answer is no. You would see this out in nature, for example, for geese here in Ohio. The Canadian geese really have a heyday in hatching their young out in the spring, and their goslings. We have on our farm had Muscovy ducks that have hatched out both Muscovies and Indian runner ducks before. And it's really cool if you have the setup for chickens or for ducks to watch the offspring because they will follow along with most of the mothers that go broody. As they age up, they will follow along just like you would see out in the wild. So, for instance, when we had the Muscovies that hatched out the Muscovy eggs, she went and she led those Muscovies around to the yard. It was like one little duck, two little duck. It was really fun to watch and really funny and cool to actually experience that because it was like being in a park, but it's in your backyard. And you get to pride to know that you are helping raise happy, healthy chickens and happy, healthy ducks in that point. So, are there things that you can do to help your broody hens if you are wanting to continue allowing them to hatch out the eggs? So, one of the things that we can do is make certain that we have fresh water and food available for them so they don't have to go very far. Our hens are going to spend the majority of the time setting actually on the eggs. They're only going to get off the eggs once or twice throughout the day. So if we're able to have food available for them and fresh water available for them, within a little bit of a distance, they are going to be able to eat a little bit healthier because they're already going to lose a little bit of nutritional value and a little bit of body condition from setting on the eggs and really concentrating on making certain that these eggs hatch. So, what do you need to do with the chicks? And we kind of answered that a little bit ago. With the chicks, what we really need to do is if our mothers, the broody hens, are going to hatch them and we're going to keep them together, understand that as soon as the majority of our eggs hatch with the chicks, that the hen is going to leave the nest and abandon the nest. So if you're going to keep them together, what we need to do is we need to make certain that we don't have very aggressive chickens or animals in the pen together with them. We don't want to chance the babies to go and get attacked. We don't want to chance them getting stepped on by another animal from another species. Or sometimes the male chickens don't want the babies around, and so they can come after the babies. I've had that happen when we were raising the white crested black Polish with the Cochins, and so we just always had to make certain that there were no males around the coop that had the Cochins in it. So also, when we have our chicks, we need to make certain that we are swapping out to a chick starter for when the chicks hatch. Whether you are pulling them and putting them in a brooder box or you're letting the females hatch the babies out and keeping the babies with them, the chicks, we need to make certain that they're being fed a chick starter. The chick starter is going to be higher in amino acids, which is going to give them a little bit of a jump start. The amino acids are the building blocks for the strength of your chickens, the muscle tone of them, and then also like feathering and a bunch of other things that we'll get into in a future video. But we need to make certain basically that that pen of chickens goes from a layer feed that you would have normally been feeding the females to a chick starter so that you are more geared to the chicks. As far as that, if you have other chickens in there, other females in there as well, if you wanted to supplement oyster shell, you are going to give them a stronger egg than they would, of course, with less calcium on the chick starter. But you're also, with the chick starter, going to notice that the female laying hens have a nicer feather most of the time, and that's coming from more amino acids. So sometimes we don't want our hens to lay. And for example, if we had our chickens laying eggs and they went broody, they're going to stop laying eggs and producing eggs once they get their clutch together, and they will stop probably for 6 to 8 weeks laying. So that is a very good reason to not, for some of our backyard flocks, want our chickens to go broody. Another reason might simply be because we don't have any male chickens in the coop with them. So, of course, if you don't have any males, you're not going to have any fertile eggs. But our chickens and our broody hens don't quite understand that, and they're still going to try to set on them. As the broody hens go and set on them, they're not going to eat as much, they're not going to get outside, and they're not going to drink as much. We're going to see them start to slip nutritionally and body condition wise, start to slip. Unfortunately, some of these chickens go broody for so long, like when we were breeding the white crested black Polish, that if you don't stop them from laying, they will set, and they, on extreme cases, they could just starve themselves. So we want to make certain that we are, if we're using broody chickens, we're doing it healthy. If you want to stop them, a couple ways that you can do it is, one, you can take them out of the chicken coop. If you take them out of the chicken coop and away from the nest, a lot of times they will eventually kind of forget about it because they'll think that their nests are destroyed, and they will go and the eggs are not fertile anymore, and they will go and start laying again. They will start getting outside and doing their regular chicken activities. Another thing that you could simply do is destroy their nest, collect the eggs, and kind of ruffle up where they have the nest so that when they come back, they aren't thinking that their nest is there anymore. And that's a really good idea if, again, we don't have a place to put our chickens away from the regular nest, and we don't want them to go fertile, or we don't want them to hatch their eggs, or their eggs aren't fertile. There's no males. Chickens are still going to sit on them, and we really would prefer them not to do that. So I have some questions that people have asked me in my life and then also on here. And so I wanted to answer those for you. One of them being, can there be negative effects on the chicken if they go broody? And yes, there will be, regardless if they are hatching out their eggs or the eggs aren't bad. The chicken's not going to get up from the nest as often and get outside as often, so they're not going to eat and they're not going to drink their normal amount. Water is the number one key to any animal success, and so when we lose water and we lose feed, we're going to see the chicken drop weight. We're going to see the chickens shine and their feathers not be as prime and not look the way that they should and that they normally do. Should I let my chicken go broody? And that's really going to be a case by case and a person by person thing. If I had male chickens in my chicken coop and I wanted to hatch out the chickens, whether I wanted to see where I was going to get or I was actually breeding them, I personally would let the chickens hatch out, let the broody hens hatch out the chicks. And the reason why I would let them do it is because they are going to be able to do it with a lot less effort on my part than what you would have through an incubator. I have a very busy day. A lot of people have a very busy day, and we just don't have the time to set in an incubator and rotate the eggs and do everything else for the eggs that we would need. And this is a really good opportunity for you if that is you. On the reverse side of it, if you only have a few chickens and you want to collect and maximize the amount of eggs that you have, if you let your chickens go broody, these chickens are not going to lay, and they're not going to lay for probably 6 to 8 weeks until they figure out either A, they hatch their chicks, and then if you don't pull the chicks, then they're going to continue to raise their chicks through, and that could prolong the not laying. Or B, they figure out that the eggs are not fertile. Until all of that cycle and process happens, they're not going to lay any eggs. And of course, if you don't have any males in them, the chicken coop, and they are going broody, I would suggest not allowing them to go broody because there's really no reason to let our chickens get run down and to let their nutrition slip, because while it might look cool, there's unfortunately no possibility that the chicks are going to hatch out of the eggs and that the eggs are going to be fertile if you don't have any males in the chicken coop. So, talking about fertility wise, are there different ways that we can go and help these hens, broody hens, out by making our chickens more fertile? And there is. Some brands are going to sell a chicken breeder feed, or simply going and feeding a chick starter. Something that, or grower, something that is lower in calcium is going to help our chickens be more fertile, the males in particular. The females are going to have to come back if you're feeding them in the same chicken coop. Females are going to have to come back and get the oyster shell or the calcium carbonate, whatever we're supplementing our calcium source with. Females will need that. The males, if they're getting too much calcium in their diet, that could actually be a reason that the males go infertile. So if you fed them a different diet, a breeder or a grower or a chick starter, then we can help increase the male's chances of being fertile. Also, we can go and we can pull the males away from the females, so when they're reintroduced, they have a better chance of breeding and being more fertile. That's another way that we can do it. And then, of course, you can put the eggs underneath the broody hen, or the broody hen, if it is that same one, will be already setting on her clutch. So, will broody hens still lay eggs? And that's a big no. Once they go broody, like we mentioned before, they're not going to lay any eggs. That's going to be the end of their egg production for 6 to 8 weeks. Kind of similar in a way to when they're molting, their fertility just drops. And we notice that chickens are fertile when the hens are laying eggs. When they're not laying eggs, the hens are not fertile. So I hope that you have a nice rest of your day and you enjoyed this and learned something from this live stream. And I really appreciate it. If you're watching on the live or if you're watching on the replay, have a nice day. Bye.